Oh, that was exciting. Right, hello there, my lovelies. How are we all today? I hope you're all doing superdy duper. I don't know why I'm looking at that. Well, that's where my face is, okay? And that's where the camera is. And that's where the preview screen is, because I have 8 screens, because I'm greedy. Well, you don't need 8 screens. I don't need 8 screens, I've realised. It's too late now, I've got them. I blame Terry Pratchett. Anyway, hello, my loves. So I've had a couple of questions from the students regarding Unreal Engine 5, which, as you know, that's my business. I am a pipeline Unreal Engine 5 consultant. So it doesn't mean I make doesn't mean I make pipes. I make ways for people to be able to learn how to do things and do things themselves. It's like a glorified version of a teacher, but I'm better because I'm me. Anyway, a couple of questions I had this week, and they're good ones. So what I've got here is I've got Unreal Engine version 5. I've got it installed with the basic third-person system, third-person game template, and I've got it installed basically as default. No ray tracing turned on. And the question I've had was quite a good one. So what I'm going to do is I am going to I've got an empty level here. I'm going to make a shape, make a plane, just drag it into my scene, and I'm going to scale it up by 20 by 20 by 20. The reason I'm doing that is because that will get me a floor that I can stand on. Very important. Now, on top of this floor, I'm going to dump a couple of things quickly, just so that we've got some light. So if I go into my lights, I'll grab a directional light. I'm going to drag a skylight. And then if I go over to my visual effects here, I'm also going to grab a sky atmosphere and a exponential height fog. There we go. And that's all I need. Okay, now I've got things working. Weirdly jerky in here, but I think that's because I'm converting something at the same time. Okay, so away it goes. Okay, so now I've got some nice simple basic lighting in my scene, which is a big improvement. I'm going to bring the floor up a bit, so it's above the level of this grid, so I find that annoying. Now, let's say I want to put something onto this plane. Okay, now I know Unreal Engine comes with all manner of really terrible example, what do you call it, materials. So if I go to my content drawer, I don't like the content drawer, but I will anyway, and I'll go to settings, thumbnail size, small. That way these are all going to fit on one page. Ignore the Warhammer Dreadnought here, I was showing another student something earlier. Now, if I go to my starter content and then my materials, here are the pre-built materials that have came with Unreal Engine. So we can see here we've got like some ground grass and ground moss and all that kind of stuff here. And I can just literally take my ground grass, drag it onto this object here, and that's what it looks like. Now, obviously this looks like terribleness, okay, because what's happening is this has its own settings for how many times it should tile and so on, and we've got a great big floor here. So what's happening is this is just tiling once on this enormous great big floor, and so we're losing detail. If I kind of right click here and click play from here, you'll see that we're getting virtually no detail because the material's just so big and so stretched. Now, if you don't know how to do this, this can be very frustrating, okay? I mean, one option could be that you make your mesh considerably smaller and then manually tile it by, putting loads of them together. But it's not an ideal way to do things. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll just bring this back to, an approximate big size. There we are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my little tool here, okay, quickly out of the project. And I'm going to quickly add something from Quixel Bridge. Now I'm using Quixel Bridge because it's free. Okay, you should be using Quixel Bridge for it too. And it's going to let me download a material that I can use inside of Unreal Engine for some ground. And then, rather than using their system, I'm going to show you how we make a quick tileable material ourselves. Very, very helpful, very, very quick. Now, I've already got some in here. I'm not offline, thank you. I've already got some in here. So if I go to local, and inside here I'm just going to look for, here we go, see these horrible rocks or this mossy wild grass. I've already got this downloaded. It's at medium quality, which is all I needed at the time. So I'm just going to click add, and what this will do is this will automatically add it into my project. Okay, wherever my Unreal project is that's open, it's going to add that to it. So if I come back now to my Unreal Engine, And I'm going to go to Window, Content Browser, open my content browser. There it is. And we can see here under Megascan Surfaces Mossy Wild, here is my Mossy Wild Grass, whatever it is. And I can just drag that across to here. Now already it looks better, even though, you know, it's still not tiled, it already does look better. We can see that like our grounds are much higher resolution. If I right click on it, play from here. It's because this isn't a starter texture from Unreal Engine. Okay, this isn't one of the basic ones that it comes with. This is one of the ones from Quixel, who are damn good at their jobs. But it's still quite low resolution when we see it. You know, if I get down to ground level, we can see it's pixelating like crazy. So this is too big for what we need. Alternatively, your texture might be too small for what you need. You might need to be able to increase it. Now, if we look here, what we have is we have this material instance. Now, a material instance is basically like a cut down version of the full material system. And this is going to allow us to do some edits to this one here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of it first. That way I've still got my original one if I need it. So I'll do Control C, Control V. And I'll give it a name, you know, so MI, Mossy, and then I'll just give it a name that I can remember. So my copy. Okay, there we go. So it's my copy. And if I drag that to the ground now, it doesn't make a difference, but it's using this one, my copy. We can also see it over here in the preview for the actual object. It's using my copy. Now I'm going to double click on it. Boom, there we go. I do make funny noises. I'm 50. I'm allowed to. My doctor says so. And here we go. This is our base. This is our basic instance shader. So what it's doing is it's reading the much more complicated parent shader down here. Okay, and it's got a few things in it that have been added, like the normal map, this combined map here, and the albedo map. Don't worry too much about what they are. I can tell you later on if you really need to know. But it's given us a lot of little controls that we can also adjust here. So you see this is our tiling offset. Now if I open this, you can see we've got tiling X, tiling Y, offset X, offset Y. So I'll open that up. And I'm going to bring this down here, okay, just so that it's at the bottom. And I'll move this away. And let's see what that does. Now, if I change my tiling offset to 2 and 2, it's now tiling it twice on there, okay? If I change it to 4 by 4, it's tiling it 4 times on there. Now, something you've got to be aware of is, I mean, you've seen this many times, I'm sure, anyway, in games where you see tiles and repeating textures. You get this repeating look, so you do have to be careful, but you can hide it with a bit of clever place geometry. Now, if I play from here, so right-click, play from here, you can see the quality of the ground now is much, much higher, okay? Because obviously I've tiled it 4 times. Why are you not stopping? Stop, damn you. Okay, I'll go onto that plane. There we go. Now, we can also do this the other way. So I can change my tiling, for example, if my tile was too small, 0.25 by 0.25. And now, as you can see, it's expanded, okay, the tiling X and Y on this. Now, if you're doing this yourself, okay, so this is a very brief thing on how to use this. I'm just going to use this here. This is our diffuse map, and this, which is our normal map. This is the bare minimum that we can get away with, really, for making a material ourselves. I'll show you how we do this. So, what I'm going to do is right-click, and I'm going to make a new material. Here we go, new material. I'm going to call this Mat My Ground. Okay, because it's always nice having something that we've named ourselves. I'll save this as well, Control S. Now, if I open it up, we get our big scary window. Okay, this is the thing that frightens away all people who are starting to use Unreal Engine. It's like, it's terrifying. It isn't. This is just node based. Think of it like an artist's palette. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this, our mossy wild grass basic diffuse texture. You see it's got a D there. Just drag it and drop it anywhere. I'm going to take our normal map and drag that and drop it anywhere. Okay, that's done. Now, what I can do now is I can connect the RGB output, so all 3 red, green, blue channels, to my base colour. My metallic, my specular and roughness have a default value in, so I'm not going to bother changing those in a minute. This is just a very simple thing that I'm doing. And then you can imagine I'm just going to drag my normal map into my normal map. That's it. That's all I needed to do. Okay, my normal is in my normal, my base colour is in my base colour, my diffuse is in my base colour. And as you see, it's now made this. If I click save, it'll compile it, which takes a moment or two because it's basically compiling its own program. This material shader that we've made is a program that you've just made. Well done, you've made something. Wait a second, it's still saving. You can't see that because this window up here is off my screen because I'm using 4K, but it is. I'm going to drink some... Oh no, there's not even a jug of coffee left. Oh, life sucks. I need more coffee. Right, so this is done. Now, if I was to apply this down here, so I'll just open my content browser and just drag mat my ground. I'm going to be slow because I'm encoding about at the same time. You can see that it's defaulted to its tiling state of 1-1 because we have no way of telling it how it should be tiling, right? So how do we do this? How do we apply a tile to this so that we can do that? Well, it's not too difficult. You see here there's two UV options for input. It says coordinates here and coordinates here. If I drag this in the other direction, so across here, I can type in world position, okay, and that'll add a world position node here. Or I can add world alliance coordinates. So it's going to pick up lots of things here that may be what we need. Now what I need is one that's going to allow me to do tiling, okay, so what's the best one to use for that? One second. There we go. So, sorry, I was just replying to a message. If I drag out my UVs, it'll only give me things that I'm allowed to in context. Now I'm working with a texture, so I'll type in texture, and let's have a little scroll. We should find texture coordinates. There it is there. So this is going to allow us to basically edit and adjust the coordinates of our texture, okay, before it hits our texture sample here. And we have to do it for both the textures. They both need the same one. It's no point in tiling this one if we're not going to tile this. Now, if we go into our text coord here, you can see we've got our UTiling and VTiling, both set at 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and I'll set them to, well, let's just say 0.5 by 0.5. This will go off and do things for a minute or two as it recalculates. Remember, it's an entire piece of software, technically. So, you know, we can look out the window. Oh, that's nice. Look up there. Oh, that's cool, that's cool. Okay, it's done. So now if I look at our main thing here, you can see it's tiled it. Now what I've done is I moved it in by half, and by moving it in by half it increased the number of tiles because it's UV tiling it 2 if I set this to half. If I set this to 0.25 by 0.25 and click save, so I'll just compile it, it should tile this 4x4. Again, unfortunately, we have to wait for, you know, the material to be compiled. This is the part that, you know, it starts getting Zs in. This is why using instances, by the way, is way better. Instances we don't have to recompile all the time. What they're doing is they're just referring to a pre-compiled shader and we're just changing a couple of the parts of it. So if you're just wondering why we use instances, it's because they're much faster than doing this. Anyway, let's let it finish. There you go. So 0.25, 0.25, that's basically zoomed us in. 0.25, 0.25, we have it at quarter scale. 4, 4, I hit save. You'll see that'll move us to tiling 4x4. Now the thing about this is, I mean, certainly if you're doing floors in a building or walls or ceilings in a building or anything along those lines, you'll be wanting to use a uniform tile size for what you're doing. So for example, I'll use a floor section that's 4 meters by 4 meters and repeat that, and then I can apply this to that. I'll show you what I mean as soon as this is finished. Hang on. It's nearly done. It's done. There we go. So this is 4 by 4. 4 meter by 4 meter on the basic texture that we made, right? So I know the standard size of this plane is, I think, 1 meter by 1 meter. So I'll change it to 4 by 4 by 4. There we go. Okay, so this is nice and high detail. And then what I could do is set this to tile, so I'll set that to 100 on the snaps. Okay, and this way I can start building, for example, ground or whatever, just by doing this. Okay, very, very simple. And I've got a tiled ground that I can use and adjust to any size that I choose, however I choose. Obviously the same applies to walls. So if I take my plane and turn on angle snap, there we go. You know, I can have this at 90 degrees with a wall texture applied to it, and I can be tiling this as well. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so this is how you're going to do that. Okay, now I did mention very, very briefly a little bit about, you know, doing a little bit of procedural work in a blueprint. I'll probably do that in the next section simply because I don't have a lot of time today. But something I did want to show you that's kind of important, okay? Let's say you're making a shelf or you're making something inside of 3ds Max, not 3ds Max, inside of Unreal Engine. So I'm going to use my cube. So here's my cube. And I'm going to make a very quick and dirty shelving system. So I'm going to turn off snaps. I'll leave my rotate snap on though. And I'll make sure I don't have scale snaps on. And I'm going to make myself basically a piece of wood. Okay, it's very quick and easy to do this. So quick piece of wood. There we go, that'll do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So bottom shelf, top shelf, another shelf. Okay, so, you know, oh, it's a shelf. Now I'm going to rotate this, so I'm going to hold Alt and rotate. And I mean, this is really basic, you know, but maybe this is a shelf in, I don't know, some charity shop that bought them all from some bric-a-brac place that was closing down. Maybe it was made by, you know, someone's grandma in the afternoon. Who knows? I don't make the rules. But you get the point. So let's move that across to there. So now I've built this very quick and dirty shelf. Let's stick a back on it. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm rotating these all over the place on different axes just to get my results. And there's a reason for that. Now, I was asked the other day, you know, because someone had this very problem that I'm about to demonstrate, how to sort out when you've made a mesh or a collection of meshes like this. Now let's imagine I want to scale these now, you know, because I love my new shelf, you know, made out of cubes. There it is there. So let's say I want to rotate it. I can rotate it. Let's say I want to scale it. Oh no! Yep, that's right. Local coordinate system obviously is kicking in and making it all go mental. Now, what I can do instead, there was a bloop noise. I wonder what that bloop noise was. What if it was important? Probably not. What I can do instead is I could group them using Control G, and then, you know, I can ungroup them again using Shift G. Problem with that is that, you know, every time you want to adjust something, it goes into a group or comes out of the group, goes into a group, comes out of the group. So what else can we do with these? Well, we could just turn the entire bloody thing into a blueprint, to be quite honest, and that would save us an awful lot of time. So what I could do is just right-click here, and I should be able to, there used to be a tool for converting, I wonder where they put it now. Convert, blah blah blah, class viewer, finding blueprints. It's probably in the blueprint window actually, isn't it? It's been a little while since I've done this. Here we are, convert selection to blueprint class. So it'll replace all of the selected actors with a single blueprint class. So I'll press that. Right, I can't use the group actor. Okay, so are these still in a group? No, they're not. So I'm just going to select the group, but not the group actor. That's important. And then I can come down here, there it is in the blueprint bit, convert selected to blueprint class, there we go. Now, creation method, new subclass, child actors or harvest components. So, replace the selected actors with an instance of new blueprint class inherited from the selected parent class, blah 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 blah. No, we'll use child actors. And we'll give it the name, you know, BP shelves. Okay, because it's shelves. That's what it is. Okay, it's done. Wow, that seemed hard. It wasn't hard. Let's let it finish what it's doing, because it'll obviously have to do a little bit of maths, or whatever Unreal Engine does in the background. I think it has to sacrifice a chicken or something, I'm not entirely sure. And we will get, oh, this. Okay, so this is our blueprint. Isn't it wonderful? So I'll hit compile, I'll hit save, done. Now, over here, this is BP shelves. This is our blueprint. Okay, this is a single object. We can do all of our blueprint stuff with it now, like scaling it and stuff. And you'll see that inside of it, I can still grab various individual things if I need to. I can't move them though, because I need to go inside of my blueprint, go to Edit in Blueprint, and that will open up my blueprint editor, so I'll get a viewport, and I can make my changes now just as if I was making them inside of Unreal Engine on the main canvas. So let's say that shelf could probably do with going a bit higher, and let's have this one on the floor level here, you know, and let's have this one a bit lower. There we are. You know, this is before I add doors to it. Hit compile and save, which only takes a moment. I can apply materials if I want to different parts of it. So let's say at the back here, let me see, so static mesh actor 7 through to static mesh actor 13. I can see that I've got lots and lots and lots of things here that I can apply materials to. What the heck's the materials thing in here? Static mesh actor, child actor template, static mesh actor, blah blah, open all these up, and I can literally change its material if I want to. Just, you know, on the fly, just drag it into here and put a new one in. It's not difficult, okay? It's literally going to be that easy. Now if I hit compile and save, I can also copy this as many times as I want. So, you know, let's say I've got another shelf I want here, for whatever reason. Don't know if I've got the skylight in my scene. I better put one in. There we go, skylight. It's a little bit dark otherwise. There we go, so I've got 2 shelves in my scene, and I'll build another one quickly, just, you know, next to it like that. And the good thing about this is that now, if I go, you know what, I like these shelves, but they could do with perhaps a subdivider in the middle just here to break it into 2 parts. All I need to do is edit BP shelves, which I can edit here or in the content browser. Go to my viewport, turn it around, and I'll go, alright, so I'll duplicate this static mesh here, which I can rename, so I'll call it, you know, panel side 1. I can duplicate panel side 1 by doing a Control C, Control V. Now I have panel side 2, and I can take panel side 2 and just move it, you know, to the middle, like that. Compile and save. And now they're all like that, because they've all picked up on the first blueprint. I could also make a variable version of this as well. So this is a very quick thing, okay? I'm just going to show you in the next 4 minutes. So if you've never done blueprint stuff before, you may be thinking, how the fuck did he do that? Don't worry, it's easy, promise you. Now, if you've ever done any programming, this will make sense. If you haven't, this will still make sense. A variable is a way of holding some information, okay? It's like, oh, I've got a variable here. I need to hold some information on whether this light's switched on or this light's switched off. What we do is we make a variable. It would be a boolean for on, off, yes, no, 1, 2, whatever. And let's call this middle divider question mark, because that's the name of the boolean. Is there going to be a middle divider? Now it's something that we want to be able to say yes or no to, so we need to make it public. And what would be useful is if it's easy to find. So what I'm going to do is, under category, over on this side, I'll change it to config, okay, shelves. So we now have a category called config shelves. Now, if I go to my construction script, inside here you can see we've got this little node called a construction script. What happens is, every time we place the object, every time we move the object, it's going to run this. So what do we want it to do with that? Well, we'd like it to read the value of the middle divider. Let's drag it in and click get. So is this true or false? Now I'm going to drag out its little red pin and I'm going to type branch. So if this is set to true, and I'll connect these two together, there we go. If this one's set to true, something's going to happen. If it's set to false, something else will happen. What's going to happen, Chris? Well, let's have panel side 2 here and we'll refer to it. So let's just drag it in. And for panel side 2, all I'm going to do is I'm going to type hidden in game. Okay, so set hidden in game, and I'll connect this to true, and I'll select the value hidden. Okay, and then I'm going to press Control C, Control V to make a copy of it. I'll connect target up to panel side 2, turn hidden off, and I'll connect this. So now what we've got is a very simple program. Have we selected to have a middle divider? If we have, okay, if there's a middle divider, well, I've got these back to front, haven't I? If there isn't, it should not be hidden. Okay, and if there is, well, is there a middle divider? Yes, don't hide it. No, hide it. Okay, you get the point? Both referring to side panel 2. Hit compile, hit save, go. Now, we can see they've all got middle dividers. That's because I'm not simulating the game. I've not got simulate game press. So let's see what it looks like in game mode by pressing G. And if I select this and hit middle divider, nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? Why is it not vanishing? Oh no. Well, let's look at our blueprint. Let's go back to our event graph. Config shelves, make sure we've got our middle divider here. Why have I got event graph rather than the one that I want, which is build? Where's my build? Construction script, here we are. Right, so construction script. So go through branch, panel side 2 set hidden in game on, panel side 2 set hidden in game off. So if they're not working the way I want them to, which they may not be, another option is I can just set scale. So let's see, set actor scale, or relative scale, or world scale, or whatever. Let's see, so set world scale 3D, and if there's a middle divider, I'm going to keep this thing at whatever its current scale is. So I'll go to panel side 1. We can see its scale here is 1, 0.24, 0.4, whatever. So I'll just copy them. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, and that's a 1. And then I'll make another one, Control C, Control V of the entire thing. And I'll set the world scale on these ones to 0, like that. Connect my panel side 2 to here, and connect that to there. Okay, so now if I hit compile and save, come over here, there we go, and now we can turn the middle divider on and off independently based on our actual shelves. So if you think about it, this allows us to configure exactly how many shelves we have in this unit. You know, exactly how we want to use our unit. If we have, like, you know, mock items inside it, we can turn those on and off as well, just by doing that. Plus, another thing we can do, if we really want to, is we could even just make this random. So is there a middle divider on this? And we could just drag this out and type random bool. Okay, and then a random bool will act as the input for this instead of us deciding. And it'll be different every time you move it or replace it. So that gives you all the difference in variation that you may want to have in your scene. Okay, so this was just a quick fix with your old pal Chris. Hello, this is me, this is my beard, I love you. I will see you again for some more questions and answers, or you can drop in on my Wickie streams while I'm developing the Wiki if you want to. If you want to fire me over a message, I am on Discord. I don't know what the invite link is for Discord, but you can probably find it if you go to that URL that's just sitting there, all handy dandy like, or find me an email and I'll invite you into the Discord and you can be my new best chum. Anyway, take it easy, have a great weekend.